We tend to think of myths as just simple, old stories. But every now and then, you find one that's actually a chilling parable for our own darkest impulses. A warning about a kind of logic that, if you follow it, leads to total self-destruction. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful of them all, the Wendigo paradox.
This one line, wow, it gets right to the absolute heart of it. This is the moment a fundamental shift happens in someone's mind. It's the moral line being crossed before a single physical step is taken. It's the moment a community becomes a commodity, and it sets the stage for a truly horrifying transformation.
So, how does someone even get to a point like that? Well, let's start at the beginning. Act 1 of our story is all about one man and the philosophy that drove him when his world pushed him right to the very edge. I want you to just picture this scene for a second. A frozen, endless landscape of ice and snow. The cold here isn't just cold. It's an active, menacing force. The food is gone, hope is disappearing. For this hunter and his people, this isn't just a tough winter. It feels like the end of the world. Survival is the only thing left. Now, the hunter's ambition is absolutely key here. See, he isn't just trying to tough it out until spring. He sees this crisis as a kind of test. He truly believes he can overcome the laws of nature, not just to survive the frost, but to master it, to become something more. This will to power is his desire to completely transcend human weakness. And this ambition, this burning desire to be more than human, it leads him to a crossroads, a pivotal moment where he has to make a choice and weigh that ambition against his very soul. We've all heard this term before, right? It's the classic deal with the devil. You trade away something fundamental, something that makes you, well, you. And in exchange, you get power or knowledge, or in our hunter's case, survival itself. But it's a bargain that always comes with a hidden cost. And there it is. To get what he wants, to prove his will to power, he does the one thing that will forever cut him off from his community, from his own humanity. He consumes another person. This is the point of no return. But the real question is, what does an act like that actually do to a person? To really understand the transformation he goes through, we need to look at this incredible metaphor that explains how the pure logic of survival can get twisted into something else entirely. I mean, think about it. How does the desperate, understandable need to live turn into a horrifying cycle that ends up consuming the very person trying to survive? Well, a simple little parable gives us the answer. Okay, so imagine this guy out in the snow. He's got one goal: keep the fire of his own life burning. He starts out logically enough, right? He feeds it tinder. But as his resources start to run out, he gets more and more desperate. He sacrifices his own protection, his clothes. And then, in the ultimate twisted act of preservation, he starts feeding the fire the very thing it was meant to protect: himself. The fire roars to life, sure, but it's not a source of warmth anymore. It's just a void, an all-consuming hunger. And that is the crucial twist. The hunter's will to power has morphed into a will to consume. His goal isn't to protect himself anymore. The act of consuming is the goal now. The hunger is in the driver's seat, and the only way it can be fed is by destroying its own host. So this transformation, as you can imagine, has immediate and devastating consequences. Let's take a look at the paradoxical state the hunter finds himself in after the bargain is sealed. And in a way, he got exactly what he wanted. He survived. He became more than human, a being of incredible strength who didn't fear the cold anymore. He had power. But, and this is a massive but, that power wasn't his to control. He was just its vessel. He became a slave to this endless, gnawing emptiness inside him. All the power he gained served only one purpose: to feed the void. A void that by its very nature could never, ever be satisfied. This quote just captures the horror of his situation perfectly. This isn't just hunger, you see. It is an engine of self-annihilation. The more he feeds his hunger in an attempt to survive, the more he empties himself of what he actually needs to live. It's a cycle of absolute, terrifying futility. When you put them side by side like this, the change is just so stark. The will to power, for all its flaws, was still based on the logic of preservation. The goal was to protect and lift up the self. But the will to consume, it runs on the complete opposite logic. Its only goal is to feed. and in the process, it completely destroys the self it lives inside. And this brings us right to the core idea, the paradox that sits at the very heart of the Wendigo myth and gives this whole process its name. Here it is, the final, cruelest twist of the curse. Every single time the Wendigo eats, his body gets bigger, which means his stomach, his hunger, also grows larger. So satisfaction becomes physically impossible. The very act of eating only creates an even greater need to eat. So in the end, the hunter's quest for ultimate strength, for total control over his own destiny, it resulted in the ultimate loss of control. He isn't a hunter anymore. He is just hunger itself. And the incredible power he has is nothing more than a tool, a knife and fork to serve a craving that will outlive him and everything he ever destroys. And that leaves us with one final lingering thought. This story is so much more than an ancient myth about a monster in the snow. It's a parable about a corrupted kind of logic, a logic where the pursuit of more, just for the sake of having more, becomes a fire that consumes the self. So the real question is, once you start looking for it, where do you see this Wendigo paradox playing out today?